Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. A Molotov cocktail has been thrown through a window in a suspected arson attack in the state's north. Police are investigating the house fire and are calling for witnesses to come forward.
A quiet suburban street shaken by a deliberate attack. A window was smashed as a Molotov cocktail was thrown into this house on Jutland Street, Mowbray. Fire crews were called around 7:30 this morning.
The owner had attended the premise as he was doing renovations and noticed smoke coming from the front door.
Found the front window in the bedroom had been smashed. So I opened the front door and I was just met with a plume of black smoke. So obviously I just pulled the door closed and called 000.
The house was unoccupied at the time. The former tenants, who were known to police, had moved out so the house could be renovated. It was luck that the owner had come to the property.
I actually was just coming out because I'd blown a couple of light globes in my house last night and I knew there was some spares here.
The fire broke out in the front bedroom, causing extensive damage throughout the property. But authorities believe the situation could have been much worse had people been living there.
With the amount of smoke, if there was anyone in that residence, it could have been quite dangerous.
The damage bill is estimated to be in excess of $5,000. Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Elizabeth O'Neill, 7 Tasmania News.
Police say they seized more than 2,000 opium poppy capsules from a Rosetta residence on Friday afternoon. A 36-year-old Adelaide man has been charged with trafficking in a controlled substance over the find. Police say they're still working to determine where the poppies were allegedly stolen from. Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. The state government is still fighting to win over public support for its Northern Prison Plan. As we go to air tonight, Corrections Minister Elise Archer is facing a large forum of opponents in Westbury. We cross live now to our reporter Sean McComish, who's at the meeting. Sean, good evening. What's the atmosphere like?
Joe, the mood is tense to say the least. Roughly 200 people have packed into the town hall. It's more or less standing room only inside. Now, a flyer distributed by opponents to the Northern Prison boldly states that Westbury's future could depend on the outcome of this meeting. Elise Archer is inside with the tough task of convincing residents that it's a good idea. Here's a little bit of what the residents had to say a short time ago.
The Premier was asked whether the state government would have to move this prison, and in response he said, and I quote, "We will not deviate because of community concerns."
I have heard a wide variety of views, for and against, some really valuable input.
It should in fact be noted that today's meeting was in fact organised by the Corrections Minister. She has also been meeting with residents one-on-one, but opponents are vowing to fight on. Joan?
A major industrial employer in the Derwent Valley is on a more stable footing with a new energy deal struck between Norske Skog and Hydro Tasmania. The details are being kept under wraps as commercially sensitive, but the government says the deal is a vote of confidence for Tasmanian industry and jobs.
On this roll, there are thousands of kilometres of paper. Here at Norske Skog, every year the site will produce around 280,000 tonnes of it to be used for Australian newspapers and magazines. The site has been running since 1941, powered by hydro. Now, a new agreement struck between the two will secure its future for another decade.
We use a lot of energy here to produce paper, so having a long-term viable future and a long-term contract was pretty important to underpin that.
It keeps jobs in the state, and it's also commercially sound for Hydro Tasmania, so it's a win-win.
While the details of the deal aren't being disclosed due to commercial in-confidence, it signals more job security for around 270 workers and numerous contractors.
To have secure power and to have secure pricing for that power into the future allows us to invest into the future of the mill. So it's a critical component of our ongoing viability.
It sends a message that there's certainty, there's confidence going forward here in jobs, particularly in the Derwent Valley. but for all of Tasmania.
But as this major industrial continues on a more stable footing, there's still uncertainty for Temco at Bell Bay. Its owners are deciding on the future of the facility, including the prospect of closure.
Temco have made it very clear that they are looking at their options and will deliver a response by the end of the first quarter 2020.
Around 300 people are employed at Temco, hopeful of a positive outcome. Louise Hedger, 7 Tasmania News.
Almost 50,000 Atlantic salmon are on the loose after escaping from a pen in Macquarie Harbour. Petuna has confirmed part of the pen broke free from its mooring in Storms more than a month ago, releasing the fish. It said it immediately reported the fish loss to authorities, but the company has only publicly confirmed the incident today.
That was disclosed in an appropriate way to the Environmental Protection Agency, as it should be, and full disclosure has occurred.
Petuna says it's had 2 such losses in the past 12 months involving small-sized fish. Our projected GST revenue is falling by $280 million over the next 4 years. The Treasurer won't say if budget cuts will be needed to deal with the shortfall.
This will be difficult and it will be challenging, but as a government we will be able to manage it on the basis that we have a strong financial position.
He says state revenues are strong and growing, which is acting as a buffer to the national turmoil. The Aurora Australis has arrived back in Tasmania after embarking on an unexpected rescue mission to Antarctica. The Australian crew came to the aid of its French counterparts who were left stranded when their own icebreaker broke down.
An end-of-year gathering with a difference. For some of these expeditioners, they've spent the past 12 months in Antarctica. Among the crowd arriving in Hobart today, French researchers rescued by the Aurora Australis. Their own icebreaker, the Astrolabe, never reaching the icy continent to pick them up.
It was a very tenuous couple of weeks where they weren't sure whether they were going to get back. They weren't sure whether they could resupply the French station.
It was a little bit a pity because we were just, it's always stressing when you just wait for your boat and your boat is not in a good shape.
Mechanical failures left the ship on Hobart's docks while divers worked to find the fault, leaving the expeditioners with no way of getting home.
The director of the French program rang me and said, "Can you help me?" My very remarkable team changed all of our plans literally at a moment's notice, and we went south.
It's a lot of moving parts naturally with a huge resupply operation plan, but one of the strengths of the Antarctic Division is its ability to respond at short notice.
The Aurora Australis diverted from a mission to Macquarie Island to pick up the stranded crew, also dropping off fuel and food.
They were very happy to see us, yeah, and we were happy to see them, particularly after a few days on the ocean. But we had a wonderful working relationship with representatives of the French team.
Now ready to head back home, just a few weeks later than originally planned. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
Extra services are on the way for young people struggling with mental health in the state's northwest. Headspace will soon operate a full service in Devonport, while Burnie will also receive its own satellite office.
Just an ordinary office, but this space has the potential to change lives. Cornerstone has been picked to run the Devonport Headspace, as it's upgraded from a 3-day satellite site to a full-time centre. It will help at least 25 people already on the waiting list.
What this will do is it will be a significant impact on that. And basically, based on current numbers, we'll be able to have no wait list at all, so easy access for young people.
And young people living in the Burnie area will for the first time be able to access the satellite service in Burnie.
Last year, 1,600 people sought help from the Launceston Centre, but there's been a clear need in the northwest.
We know from our research that young people living in the north and the northwest of Tasmania have the highest rates of psychological distress.
The nearly $3 million expansion is expected to be finished by July next year. Meanwhile, Devonport's doors will still remain open.
Seek help, speak to people that are around you, speak to family, speak to friends.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
As sailors prepare for one of the nation's biggest yacht races, one Tasmanian team is set to carry some special cargo. The vessel will sail with 2 barrels of whiskey to commemorate the competition's 75th anniversary.
All hands on deck to lug this wooden cask on board. Inside, 3-year-old single malt whiskey, ready to set sail to Sydney.
We're here today to celebrate an amazing race, the 75th anniversary of the Sydney Hobart. So it's a Tasmanian iconic race, and how better to celebrate it with putting on board a Tasmanian iconic whiskey.
Joining another barrel among the Magic Miles crew to sail in this year's race. The idea stemming from when the distiller joined the crew in 2013.
And having done a Sydney Hobart previously, and we did actually carry a bottle made previously, I thought, oh, what if we matured whiskey on the boat like they used to?
The traditional cargo will then be decanted into 150 bottles as a well-earned reward for the finish line.
The winner on handicap of the race will receive a special bottle, bottle number one of the captain's release. So it's about rewarding the guys for their efforts. Just finishing the race is what it's about, getting everyone home safely.
And it's expected the bumpy ride will produce a top-notch dram.
And that bouncing around will help the whiskey mature, it'll pick up some salt air, and it'll just add a very special character to the whiskey.
The race kicks off on Boxing Day. Ruby Kamain, 7 Tasmania News.
Hobart City Council is facing yet another drama with a pedestrian bridge construction. The opening of the $6.5 million Rose Garden Bridge has been delayed until next year. In a joint statement, the council and construction firm VEC confirming the surface coating of the path doesn't meet expectations and they're working on a solution. The council also had troubles with the Remembrance Bridge construction last year. That project was delayed by weather and cladding issues. Students have given a hand to redecorating efforts for a water reservoir. Children from Mount Nelson Primary School added the final touches to the art project next to their school, planting their green handprints along the bottom of the nature mural to cover up a peeling painting by the school 20 years ago.
The children at the school really wanted to be able to put some of their artwork up there and promote taking care of our environment and our animals to the public.
The TasWater program has revamped 6 reservoirs and 4 pump stations.
It's been on the back burner for 3 years, but now the starter's gun is loaded again for one of Tasmania's toughest challenges. The Balfour Burn will be back in 2020, and one proud dad will have more in his hands than just the run.
If you yearn to burn, this long-awaited return is for you. The gut-busting Balfour Burn up Launceston's steepest street is back.
420 metres, 23% gradient.
And this will be the ultimate father-daughter team. 9-year-old Emma has had cerebral palsy since she was a baby, hindering her ability to walk. With an operation on the eve of next year's event, Father Jonty plans to push her up the hill in a wheelchair.
I've done the pram one before. We did that many moons ago with Emma on a backpack and her sisters in a pram. So this year the challenge is with a wheelchair, aren't you? Hey, Poss?
Emma isn't covered by the NDIS, meaning she relies heavily on St Giles for support. The Balfour Burn aims to raise $20,000 for its services. Local footy teams say they'll hit the hill for their pre-season training.
I think I've always been too scared, but just learning more about the cause and what it's about, I think it's a good thing just to give it a go and give it a crack anyway. A lot of the things that we're known for, especially with children, are for mild disabilities like mild cerebral palsy and mild impairments, and those sorts of things aren't covered by the NDIS.
The reincarnated event is also shifting to a twilight time slot. Mark it down for March 20 from 5 to 8 p.m.
Good evening, Ooze. The high around the state today with 24, Hobart 20, Launceston and Burnie's official temperature was 21 and Devonport 18 degrees. Temperatures tried to make it to average but a few fell short. Campania though reached 23, Smithton 21, Friendly Beaches 20, Lyaweeny's high was 19 degrees, St Helens and the Islands 18, Low Head and Strawn 17. Mid to low level cloud over the state today, mainly the east, south and Bass Strait, while the cloud over the west cleared in the afternoon. Now that same cloud clipped southern Victoria and coastal New South Wales. Some afternoon convective cloud over the top end and some cloud with embedded thunderstorms spotted over central, south and Western Australia. A cold front brushes our south tomorrow. A high sits off New South Wales, extending in ridge southwards towards us and troughs over the west and north of the country. Westerly winds over the south at 10 to 20 knots tomorrow, west to northwesterly elsewhere at 15 to 25 knots, apart from the southwest, where winds over the east coast will be from the southwest to southeast. Forecast for tomorrow, Hobart partly cloudy and 25 degrees, 18 the top for Adventure Bay, 23 the high for Tarraleah. Launceston tomorrow, 27 degrees and partly cloudy, 22 the top for Devonport and Bridport. For make it Burnie, partly cloudy and 23, 18 the top for Strawn and Marrawar, bit of cloud in the west, and for St Helens tomorrow, mostly sunny and 24, 23 the top for Swansea, Whitemark okay as well and 20 degrees. UV all 11 and above, which is extreme. On Wednesday, fine and partly cloudy for most. Launceston and Hobart 28, 26 in the east. Partly cloudy again on Thursday and warming up to the 30s in the central north. Hobart expecting 33 on Friday on a mostly sunny day with winds freshening in the evening. Sunny in Perth tomorrow, same for Adelaide but 8 degrees warmer. Melbourne 30, partly cloudy in Sydney tomorrow, and Brisbane, Alice Springs expecting 42. 19 and partly cloudy over Hobart and Launceston, partly cloudy in Devonport and 16. Warming up later in the week, Joe might start wearing the shorts, but no one's going to know.
Yeah, I'll know, so don't. Keep your pants on. Thanks very much. That's all from the team for now. We'll see you a bit later with updates. Bye-bye.
Fellas, here's to a good race. Is that one small dram for man?